Hi, this is Cheryl Peterson with Healing Science Today. I'm going to read a contemporary Christian Science lesson sermon, Bible lesson sermon from The Message, copyrighted by Eugene Peterson, and from 21st Century Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, a modern version of Mary Baker Eddy's Science and Health, copyrighted by Cheryl Peterson. The subject, security. Golden text is from Psalms. Be good to me, God, and now I've run to you for dear life. I'm hiding out under your wings until the hurricane blows over. I call out to high God, the God who holds me together. He sends orders from heaven and saves me. He humiliates those who kick me around. God delivers generous love. He makes good on his word. 1 Corinthians. Remember our history, friends, and be warned. All our ancestors were led by the providential cloud and taken miraculously through the sea. They went through the waters in a baptism like ours, as Moses led them from enslaving death to salvation life. They all ate and drank identical food and drink, meals provided daily by God. They drank from the rock, God's fountain for them, that stayed with them wherever they were, and the rock was Christ. But just experiencing God's wonder and grace didn't seem to mean much. Most of them were defeated by temptation during the hard times in the desert, and God was not pleased. The same thing could happen to us. We must be on guard so that we never get caught up in wanting our own way as they did, and we must not turn our religion into a circus as they did. First the people partied, then they threw a dance. We must not be sexually promiscuous. They paid for that, remember, with 23,000 deaths in one day? We must never try to get Christ to serve us instead of us serving him. They tried it, and God launched an epidemic of poisonous snakes. We must be careful not to stir up discontent. Discontent destroyed them. These are all warning markers, danger, in our history books written down so that we don't repeat their mistakes. Our positions in the story are parallel. They at the beginning, we at the end, and we are just as capable of messing it up as they were. Don't be so naive and self-confident. You're not exempt. You could fall flat on your face as easily as anyone else. Forget about self-confidence. It's useless. Cultivate God confidence. No test or temptation that comes your way is beyond the course of what others have had to face. All you need to remember is that God will never let you down. He'll never let you be pushed past your limit. He'll always be there to help you come through it. 21st Century Science and Health. It is not safe to build on false foundations. Truth makes a new creature. Where old things passed away, behold, new things have come. Obsessions, selfishness, misleading appetites, hatred, fear, and lust give way to spirituality. And the superabundance of being is on the side of God, good. What is termed physical sense can report only a mortal, temporary sense of things, whereas spiritual sense can bear witness only to truth. To human sense, the unreal is the real until this sense is corrected by Christian Science. Physical sense flaunts the belief that mind is temporal. Human belief shifting between feelings of satisfaction and dissatisfaction, hope and fear, life and death, never breaks through the limiting factors of the mortal or the unreal. But when the real is experienced, joy is no longer fragile and hope is no longer a con artist. Spiritual ideas, like numbers and notes, start from principle and admit no limiting factors. Spiritual ideas lead up to their divine origin God and to the spiritual sense of being. Spiritual perception, excelling over mutable perceptions, involves intuition, hope, faith, understanding, spiritual experience, reality. The senses of spirit remain in love, and they manifest truth and life. Spirituality and the science which explains it is based on spiritual understanding, which replaces the laws of matter. When the 5 physical senses are misdirected, they manifest beliefs of human mind, which claims that life, substance, and intelligence are material instead of spiritual. These false beliefs and their products constitute the flesh, warring against spirit. Science shows that conflicting convictions and opinions repeatedly transmit mixed signals. The signals symbolize chaos, but we can be safe from confusion when false convictions and opinions are promptly and persistently defeated by truth. As we tune into divine science, truth and love buffer confused mentalities and thereby invigorate and sustain existence, whereas knowledge picked up by the 5 senses is disposable. What we commonly call natural science is not really natural because it assumes matter is the basis of nature. Ideas, on the contrary, are from spirit and are the true foundation of nature. The path of divine science is less difficult to follow when the high goal is always before the thoughts. It's bothersome to count every single little footstep while endeavoring to reach the better goal. When the destination is desirable, expectation speeds our progress. The struggle for truth makes one strong instead of weak, restful instead of weary. Luke. Jesus and his disciples sailed on to the country of Gerasenes, directly opposite Galilee. As he stepped out into land, a madman from town met him. He was a victim of demons. He hadn't worn clothes for a long time, nor lived at home. He lived in the cemetery. When he saw Jesus, he screamed, fell before him, and howled, "What business do you have messing with me? You're Jesus, Son of the High God, but don't give me a hard time." The man said this because Jesus had started to order the unclean spirit out of him. Time after time, the demon threw the man into convulsions. He had been placed under constant guard and tied with chains and shackles, but crazed and driven wild by the demon, he would shatter the bonds. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Mob. My name is Mob," he said, because many demons afflicted him, and they begged Jesus desperately not to order them to the bottomless pit. A large herd of pigs was grazing and rooting on a nearby hill. The demons begged Jesus to order them into the pigs. He gave the order. It was even worse for the pigs than for the man. Crazed, they stampeded over a cliff into the lake and drowned. Those tending the pigs, scared to death, bolted and told their story in town and country. People went out to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and found the man from whom the demons had been sent sitting there at Jesus' feet, wearing decent clothes and making sense. It was a holy moment, and for a short time they were more reverent than curious. Then those who had seen it happened told how the demonic had been saved. Later, a great many people from the Gerasenes countryside got together and asked Jesus to leave. Too much change too fast, and they were scared. So Jesus got back in the boat and set off. The man whom he had delivered from the demons asked to go with him, but he sent him back, saying, "Go home and tell everything God did for you So he went back and preached all over town everything Jesus had done in him. Science and Health. What the physical senses tell us often reverses or rearranges the real science of being. The shuffling assigns seeming authority to sin, sickness, and death, but the great facts of life, rightly understood, defeat this triad of errors, contradict their false witnesses, and reveal the power of heaven, the actual authority of harmony on earth. The demonstrations of Jesus exposed pragmatically the pattern of harmony. Yet, we are trained to believe that the human mind is secondary to mortal body, and that certain sections of matter, such as brain and nerves, are put in charge of pain and pleasure. Sadly, this disarrangement looks to matter to report to the mind the status of happiness or misery. There are many proofs of illusions of physical sense. For example, when driving on the highway, the paved road ahead sometimes appears to have water on it. The barometer points to fair weather during drenching rain and under murky clouds. What about the body? Physical senses tell us the body is solid, but the body isn't solid. Cosmic rays, neutrinos, radio and TV waves are zinging through the body as if it's transparent. The examples of elusive, unreliable appearances could go on. Life teaches us to correct what physical senses and human imprints claim as fact. Spirituality causes people to turn naturally from material wave particles to eternal spirit, as the flower turns from darkness to light. People then secure those things which no eye has seen, no ear has heard. To fear and admit the power of disease is to paralyze mental and scientific demonstration. If your patient believes in catching cold, you can mentally convince him or her that physical particles cannot get sick and that thought governs this liability. If grief causes suffering, convince the sufferer that affliction often causes a mental shift toward joy found in ever-present love. Sufferers may visit warmer climates in order to stay healthy, but they come back no better than before they went away. Then is the time to cure them through divine science. When the fear of weather is exterminated, it can be proven that people can be healthy in all climates. Psalms. Keep me safe, my God, for in you I take refuge. I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you I have no good thing. I say of the holy people who are in the land, they are the noble ones in whom is all my delight. Those who run after other gods will suffer more and more. I will not pour out libations of blood to such gods or take up their names on my lips. Lord, you alone are my portion and my cup. You make my lot secure. Science and Health. Genesis 1:26. Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. The eternal Elohim includes the forever universe. The name Elohim is in the plural, but this plurality of spirit does not imply more than one God. It also does not imply three persons in one. It relates to the oneness, the singleness of life, truth, and love. The idiom man is used as a generic term for all people or ideas. However, the term man is becoming obsolete. Gender-inclusive language predominates now. The terms man and woman, spiritual being, living being, or person are today more commonly used to denote the child of God, expressing countless attributes and moving in accord with spirit reflecting goodness and power. The divine principle and idea constitute spiritual harmony, heaven, and eternity. In the universe of truth, unpredictability and error are unknown. Finiteness and limitation have no universe. Divine science, the Word of God, says to the darkness over the face of the earth of error, God is all in all, and the light of ever-present love illumines the universe. Hence the eternal wonder that infinite space is peopled with God's ideas, reflecting being in countless spiritual forms. All of God's creatures, moving in the harmony of science, are harmless, useful, and indestructible. If human transgressions, vulnerabilities, and losses were understood as non-being, they would disappear to the reality of good, which naturally banishes evil, just as acts of kindness make self-pity go away. One must hide the other. How important, then, to choose good as the reality. We are secured by God, Spirit, and by nothing else. God's being is infinity, freedom, balance, and boundless happiness.